And here we go. Welcome and good morning, everybody. I'm Jessica Nelson. I'm here on behalf of the Niles YMCA. We're going to do Pilates this morning. And as we always do, I like to find our way to our mat and find our good posture to start with. So we're going to find our feet directly under our knees. Up above our knees, our hips are stacked. They're not coming out like this or doing one of these. We're nice and even. You're thinking of that line, rib cage stacked over the hips. Roll the shoulders back. And head, ears are right in line with that shoulder. So that's our nice standing posture. It should feel pretty easy and comfortable to be in that posture. And we're just going to warm up really quick here. So we're going to do just a little bit of prancing and marching and everything. And we'll talk about what we want to achieve today. So just start by just some gentle movement of peeling the heels up off the mat, up onto the toes, just a little prance. So today's focus, I would like to have us be, it's all about control. We are living in a time where things feel out of control, and the one thing that we can control is our bodies and ourselves. And so Pilates is all about control. Go ahead and take that prance into a march. So even right now, you can start to notice in your body, do you have control over what's going on from the hips up when you move your legs? Does it feel like you're shifting side to side? If you kind of feel like it's just sloppy, start to dial it in, start to gain control of the movement in your body. Let's take that into a higher step. So we're just going to take it into a chair step. So 90-degree angles. It's so weird not being able to see you guys, but I trust that you're out there doing the good stuff. If you ever do feel like you need me to look and see what you're doing and check any postures, just go ahead and show your screen, and I will definitely take assessment and see what I can do to help you. Throughout class today, let's take those arms up overhead and add the arms down as we bring the knees up. Throughout class today, I'm going to give us the full expression of each movement sequence. And I'm also going to note out some modifications or some challenges. So that way you can take this practice exactly where you need it today. Just a couple more here. And 3, and 2, and 1. Settle that into a wider stance. And also, if at any point you have questions or clarifications that are needed, unmute yourself and just hop in and shout out your questions. So finding ourselves in our little bit wider stance, we're just going to take that into a toe tap to the side. Just trying to create a little bit of warmth in the body, wake up the muscles. It's early for some of us that have been sleeping in throughout this kind of shutdown in our society. Building it up, add the arms overhead. We're going to reach, feel that stretch along the side. A couple more here, and then we're going to take it across the body, and it'll look like this. We're going across, so there's a little bit of a rotation in the torso as we cross and reach and tap the toes. It's the fastest we'll move all morning, I promise. We'll settle it back into our normal pace. And then we're going to take it down. And again, this can be bigger for you, or you can keep it small. It can be like this, where we're just reaching and tapping. If you want more, you can turn it into a hop and touch the floor. It's not what I'm all about today. I'm just going to stay right here. You do you. And then we're going to work our way back up through the center. I'm already starting to feel a little bit of warmth. Hopefully you are too. Reaching to the side. And then we'll take it overhead. And just slow it down. Kind of bring it back into just a nice little shake it out. My breath got a little bit harder to get. Just bring it back down to neutral. Then we're going to do a standing cat-cow. So what that looks like, I'm going to go to the side so you can see. We're going to have those feet wider apart. We're going to bend into our knees just a little bit. And our hands are going to come down right on the thighs. We're going to kind of hinge forward. So this is just a flat back hinge. And then just like we do in cat-cow, the tail and the head come under as the spine arches. And we can inhale or exhale here, pick your pattern, and then let the belly come out and the tail and the head come behind. And just pedal through a couple of these. At your pace, breathing in one way. It does help to exhale when you arch your spine and tuck the tail and head under. But if that doesn't feel natural to you, do what works. Just a couple more here. And on this next, now that we've kind of settled back in, we're going to take our forearms down to our legs. Ooh, not falling over. Taking our forearms and just dip the shoulder. So we're going to dip one shoulder down and twist the torso, and then dip the other shoulder down and twist the torso. So just getting a little bit of spinal rotation, kind of moving the body through all of our planes of motion to get it ready for the work we're going to do. And then settle that back into center. Walk your hands to take yourself up to standing, and then find your way to the back of the mat if you're not already there. And we're going to do a roll down. So we're going to go ahead and breathe in through the nose as the arms come up overhead, and exhale, rolling it on down to the mat. Feeling that nice stretch all along the back side of the body. If it feels good to you, you can walk your hands to the right side of your body and feel that opening along the side. And then walk them through center to the opposite side and feel that nice opening. Bringing it back through center, pushing the belly button to the spine to restack all those bones beautifully on top of one another until we come on up and roll those shoulders back. Let's do one more roll down, arms come up overhead. And the exhale, we just let everything roll on down. And then we're going to walk that out to hands and knees. So in hands and knees, our good posture looks like knees are directly under the hips, shoulders are right above the wrist, fingers are spread wide, and we're not sagging down like this, and we're not doing any kind of weird stuff. We look like a nice, strong, sturdy table. Head is nice and long, away from the tail. It's not hanging, it's not arching, it's right here in line with the spine. From here, we're gonna do our poodle tail wag. So that looks like kind of like a hula hoop motion. So first we're going to go side to side. So just wag your hips to the right and then wag your hips to the left. Right and left. So you're going to feel one side body contract and get shorter while the other opens. And then that happens on the opposite side. Now let's tuck our tail under and back. So we're going to, like we're a sad dog that tucks our tail under, and then we tuck our tail back. So we're putting it up. Trying to keep it out of the spine as much as possible. I'm exaggerating it a little bit so you can see, but it's really just the hips. So if you engage the core, you're tucking up and under. And then we're going to put all that together, and it looks like a little hula hoop kind of motion, belly dancer, whatever imagery makes you think about how can I rotate my hips. Maybe it's a little bit of Elvis Presley, whatever you got going on this morning to help you get through this. And then we'll take it in the opposite direction. We're just rotating our hips side to side, all around, not side to side, around in a circle. And then find nice neutral position and push yourself back to child's pose. The bottom comes over the heels, the hands reach out long on the mat, and the forehead comes down, feeling the stretch all along the back of your body. Take a nice deep breath here. And then let's go ahead and push on through and lie on our back. So we're going to transition to lying on our back on the mat. Yep. So from here, let's connect our mind to our bodies even more. We've already started that practice. We know we're thinking about control in our bodies. So what I want you to imagine is that you have a bowl. I tried this morning, but I don't have a bowl with a base big enough to really show what's going on. But we imagine we have a bowl. Our hips here are a bowl. And what we want to do is slosh the water, just like we were doing in our poodle tail. First, we want to slosh the water left to right. So how do we sink one hip, the right hip, down to deeper into the mat, and the left hip pops up, and the water all sloshes to the right? And then we bring it back through center and then slosh the hips over to the left. I can feel in my body right now there's work, there's some cheating happening. The legs are trying to help me through this because I want to feel it like a bigger motion, but I'm going to take the legs away and I'm just going to move my hips left to right using those deep core muscles. This is that mind-body connection here, folks. And then bringing it into center. So now we want to slosh the water from face to tail, right? So if we think about our belly button and our pubic bone, the pubic bone is the lowest bony point between your legs here. So if we want to slosh the water up toward our face, we have to bring that pubic bone up toward the chest and then take it away. If we want to slosh the water away, now we got to bring the belly button higher up to the sky and take that pubic bone down toward the mat. So I'm exaggerating it again. So we're going to dial it in, just using the hips, just using the deep core muscles, taking it out of the legs if the legs are trying to push in to get that work done. And now we're going to slosh that water around in a circle, just like we did in our poodle tail. So now we're going to slosh the bowl to the right, bring it up to the belly button, take it over to the left, and then dump it between the legs. Doing tiny little circles in the hips. And then once you've done 2 or 3 in one direction, change direction. And so slosh the water up towards your belly button and then over to the right, down between the legs, over to the left, and do 3 or 4 there. You're going to feel it in your legs, so don't beat yourself up too much. That's what's going on. You can try to put your legs up into this position here where they're floated, and it will take it out of your legs. So now you really have to do the work, but I don't want you working that hard just yet. That's why I want us to just kind of dial in, find those muscles, and activate them so that we know that they're there for us to do the work. All right, so now that we've got those guys fired up, we feel our nice broad shoulders on the mat. Arms are down by the side, palms are on the ground. Feet are planted in the mat, and you can feel all 4 corners of the feet planted. It's not rolled out, it's not rolled in or on the heels or on the toes. We feel a nice even balance between the feet. And then thinking about that bowl, I want you to slosh the water up towards your belly button. So you're trying to spill all the water out of that bowl up towards your face. Now you've got this nice tilt in your pelvis. And then I want you to think, I'm going to bring this belt around my waist and tighten it up. So now I've gotten a nice belt around my waist. I've got this bowl sloshing toward me. And then I'm going to pull my hips up toward the ceiling and peel my spine up off the mat one at a time. The glutes are supporting this action, pushing up until you're up in a bridge. Articulated bridge is where we're working on. And then while you're up here, take a deep breath. And on the exhale, widen the collarbones and then melt the vertebra back down into the mat, one bone at a time, almost feeling like you're getting longer as you reconnect with your mat. Go ahead and work through 2 or 3 more of those. So we tilt, slosh our water up toward the face, engage the belt line, pull the waist up toward the sky. Inhale, widen the collarbone, melt back down. And at your pace, we'll do 2 more. Really articulating every moment of this. This isn't about getting through it quickly. This is about feeling all the muscles in your body that you need to get this work done, engage to do very articulated work. What's the right word? Minuscule. It's very precise. That's what I'm looking for. Precise work. Last one here. And this one, really lengthen that spine as you bring it down to the mat. And there we go. Go ahead and hug the knees in and roll side to side and get a little bit of a stretch on the low back. And we'll move right into some of that hard work I talked about that we weren't going to do just yet, but now we're there. So we're going to go ahead, finding our nice wide, filling up all the space we can on our mat, on our backside, anchoring the hips into the mat. We're going to engage that belt line, so we're hugging it in around the waist. We're going to go ahead and tuck that bowl a little bit just to give us that engagement. We're going to take one leg up into tabletop here and then the other leg up into tabletop. Right here, it might be a lot of work for you right now. So what I don't want to see is the knees up toward the chest. Not that I can see any of you, but if I could, we want the knees right over the hips. So we're going to be right here and then keeping enough engagement. It's okay if there's still a little bit of a gap in your low back, but there's enough that you really feel in control of this movement. So we're going to take one toe down toward the mat, just so long as you keep that same amount of engagement in the hips and the waist, and bring it up And then we're going to take the other one down to the mat. Tap the toe and bring it up. If that, for you, I'm only up in this ab curl just so I can look at you, but I don't know why I keep thinking I'm going to keep my head down and just talk. So you're just doing this as far as you can keep that engagement. So if you start to feel like you lose control in your waistline, then maybe you only go right here. And that's okay. You're only coming down maybe 3 or 4 inches with that bent knee. But really focus in on where can I keep control. You're going to get so sick of that word today. You're going to be like, oh, Jessica's a control freak. It's okay. We'll be all right. All right. Take both feet down for a second. Stretch along both ways. We're going to build on that. So this is where it's going to get a little bit tougher. So now engage the belt line, hug it all in, give yourself that little bit of a tuck there. Bring those legs up into tabletop. If you want a little bit more, we're going to come up into our ab curls. We're going to float up. So we're going to see our elbows and our peripheral vision. Hands are behind the head. On an exhale, gaze is going to be right up over the knees. We're going to float that chest up off the mat. And right here, we're going to feel a little bit of shake. So we've got all that hugged in, keeping us stable. And then we're going to start to tap and tap. All right, that was just our test. That's all we're doing there. Holding it here. I want you to just take both legs away from you, keeping them bent, and then bring them back. You should feel this in your low abs. It should make you shake a little bit more when you take your legs bent away about 3 or 4 inches, and then bring them back up, right over the hips 3 or 4 inches. Just one more here. We'll take a break, and then we'll add on to it. Extend and bring in. Take those feet to the mat. Stretch out long or hug it in, whichever way feels better for you. I like to stretch it out long when I'm doing this kind of stuff. And now let's set it up for the last piece, the layer of the cake on this. Here's the icing on the cake for this one. So setting the core, hugging it all in, getting that stability, bringing those legs up into tabletop, floating up into our ab curl. So now instead of taking the legs away toward the middle of the mat 6 inches, I want you to take them and oblique. You're going to turn them. And so your both feet are going to go toward the right side of the mat. And I can't touch without losing control. They're going to come up through center, and then they're going to go over to the left side of the mat and then come back up through center. Right side of the mat. If this is too much, upper body comes back down and you do just the legs. The name of the game here is control, right? We have complete control of what's going on in our abdominals right now. And we're feeling all that work, all in the lower part, obliques. One more on each side. And we're breathing, right? Last one. And then this time we're going to hug it in. Just hug it in and roll side to side. Let's do one more thing on our backs, and then we'll get up to seated and change it up a little bit. So the last thing on our backs here, now that we've kind of got that real fired up and active, we're going to come into the setup is harder than the rest of the work. So we're going to engage that waistline, engage those muscles all around the core. We're going to bring one leg up. So I'm going to start with my right leg into the tabletop. The other foot's going to stay planted in the mat. Hands are behind my head, floating up into my ab curl. I'm going to take my left hand and put it on the inside of my right knee. So those two are going to push against each other. So the right knee is pushing into the left hand. And from here, it's just tiny little pulses. So we're going to pulse, pulse. And the power comes right from, you know where, the core, right in the abdomen. We're pulsing and crunching, but we're not crunching in on ourselves. You can see the body still stays long, but there's lots of sizzle and activation going on in the abdomen. And 3, 2, 1. Whew. I don't know about you, but that got it real good. So stretch that out, and then we'll set ourselves up for the other side. All right. Now, we're going to take the opposite leg. So for me, that's the left. Float that leg up. I've got my core engaged, floating up into my ab curl. Opposite hand comes to the inside of that knee. There's lots of energy in between those two units there. And we're just going to pulse, 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 pulse. This is deep work that's happening. We're halfway there. We're doing 10. And 3, 2, 1. Whew, reach that out long. We're done on our backs for a minute. Take the stretch that you need, take the relief. And then however you need to get there, whether it's turning to the side and pushing yourself up to seated, we're going to come up to a seated position. So from here, we're not going to do the full roll up, but if you are good at doing roll ups and you know what I mean when I say that, you do you. Get it done. For the rest of us that are working on building up a little bit more strength in our deep cores, what we're going to do is have our knees bent, feet flat on the mat, sitting up nice and tall. So we're not slouched in like this. We're not leaning back. We can feel those bony sits bones planted into the mat, and we're going to have our hands out in front of us. So thinking of that bowl, so now instead of the bowl sitting on our stomach, our bowl is our hips. We want to slosh the water back toward the back of the mat. So you can see what happens there is the hips come under, and then we start to roll back, keeping that curve in the abdomen until we get to that point where we're like, maybe I can't get up. And when we're there, we're going to engage the lowest of low abs, all that deep muscles to pull us back up to a seated position. We're going to do a couple more just to really make sure that we are firing the muscles we want to fire. And then we'll add some rotation to this. Coming back up to seated. On this next one, we're going to roll back. So we scoop the abdomen out, roll back. We're going to twist the torso to the right, open the arm, our gaze follows that arm. We bring it back through center, twist the torso to the left, open the arm, gaze follows, back to center, bringing it back up. Let's do 3 more sets of that one. Scoop, tip back, rotate and reach, rotate and reach. Come on back up to seated. That was 1. So we got 2 more. Reach. And reach. Back up to seated. 1 more left. Back. Twist. Twist. And back up to seated. Go ahead and stretch your legs out long and reach long over your feet. And get a nice long stretch here. If you can, if it is accessible to you to stretch that out long, you should feel a nice stretch all along the hamstrings and along the back of the body. And then we're going to move into, we're good on time. So we're going to move into a seated spine twist. And what that looks like is if you can put your legs all the way out where, this way so you can see. You can put your legs all the way out. You'll put them out and you'll flex your feet. And you'll have them about standing, like when you're standing hip width distance apart. Whatever allows you to sit up nice and tall. If this posture does not allow you to sit up nice and tall, you bend those knees so that you can get that extra out of the hamstrings there. So you pick where you're going to be. Arms are going to go long to the side. Actually, you know what? Let's do something different today. I'm going to turn just a little bit so you can kind of see what this looks like. When we turn our arms to the side and we do this twist, we all also often want to kind of bring this arm along, and it makes it feel like we're getting a bigger movement. But really, we want this whole structure to stay nice and long of the shoulders, and the twist is just in the torso. So let's go ahead and, if you can, put your hands just gently on the top of your shoulders. Feet are nice and stable there, and now twisting just from the midsection. So right in here is where the work is happening. We're twisting to the side and pulsing, and then twisting to the other side and pulsing. Twist. Twist. If that is really awkward for you to keep your hands there, by all means, take them out. Just keep yourself honest. Keep the arms nice and long. Lots of energy between those shoulder blades in the back to do so. 2 more on each side. Last set. And then bring it down, shake it out for a second. We're going to do a side stretch. So take your legs into a position that's comfortable, whether that's cross-legged, whatever. One hand's going to come out to the side. Other arm goes up nice and tall toward the sky. Before we bend over, that arm is going to reach longer, so you see this length happen in the side body, and then we spill over like a rainbow, over to the side, bringing it back up through center. Switch sides, get longer before you arc, And go on over. This should feel pretty lovely all along the side body. We'll do one more on each side. Just nice little relief in between things here. You know me, I don't like to store the stretches all up to the end. I like to make sure that we stretch after we do work. And there we are. So we're gonna move into lying down face first in our mat, and we're gonna do a little bit of back extension work. So find yourself, if you want, this might be a good time to grab a drink of water. As we transition, I'm gonna do that myself. And then we're gonna be face down in the mat. Just quick check-in, everybody can hear me good, everything's going fine. We're good? Okay.
Jessica?
Yes.
Eve needs to mute because it keeps jumping to her.
Okay, good call. Yeah, if you aren't already muted, please go ahead and mute yourself on your device. I can mute all, but I don't like to just power mute you guys. Good call, thank you, Renee. All right, so let's find ourselves lying down in our mat and just take your head to one side or the other, left or right, it doesn't matter. We'll stretch the neck on both sides, but just get a nice neck stretch to start with. Take a few breaths. Let's regather our thoughts. Coming back to being here now. We're gonna turn our nose toward the mat. Hands are gonna come under the shoulders, and we're gonna walk those legs out longer behind us. So taking those quads and just kind of walking the legs long, and then relax your glutes for right now, if you can. It's hard to do kind of in this position. And then I want you to take all of those muscles that we used to start with that pelvic bowls exercise and just kind of hug in the abs and kind of feel those bony hip points at the front, those ASIS points on your hips, kind of nestle into the mat. You're not jamming them in there, it's a nestling in. So from here, I want you to think, can I take my upper body and can I make it longer? Like I'm trying to reach the crown of my head to the end of my mat. And then I'm gonna push my belly into the mat and peel up off like a sticker up into a tiny little baby swan. And then I'm gonna come on back down. It's a lot to think about, but what that does is it builds that length in your body before you come up. And that's what Pilates is all about. Long, strong, lean muscles, defying gravity so that we can move through life with ease, economy, and efficiency, and enjoy our days with less pain, less stress on the joints, and feel more successful. Just a couple more here. I always have the tendency to start to squeeze my glutes in, and I have to remind myself to relax those glutes, engage the belly. Let's go ahead and float the hands up the next time when we come up. So now the hands aren't there to help us with that height. So we get long, we peel up off the mat, the hands float up with us. If you want, the legs can float up too. So now you're in a little arc shape here, the rocking chair leg. And come on down. Let's float through a couple of those. Upper body and quads float up and down. And up. Feeling the collarbone wide as we come up off the mat and down. Go ahead and turn the head to the opposite direction for a moment, bend the knees, and just swish your legs side to side in a little windshield wiper type move. Take any stress that might have been built up in that low back. And then we'll go for a bit of a swim. So in this version, I like to take the upper body. It's really easy to get those shoulders up here and get into this weird position. So we're going to take that part away. What we're going to do is put one hand under our forehead. That next hand goes on top of it. And then the forehead gets glued to that hand. So you're a nice little unit up here at the top. So taking that body long in both directions, walking the quads away from the hips, feeling the length through the spine, shoulders roll down the back. We're going to float that upper body up, float the quads up off the mat, and flutter kick those legs for 30 seconds, reaching long. It's really not about how fast can I kick, it's about how long can I reach those legs away from me and move my body, my legs, and everything else is controlled and stable. We're halfway there. If this is too much, you bring that upper body back down. If you need breaks, you take breaks, and then you come right back to it. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently push yourself up through to hands and knees and get back into a child's pose to really take a nice stretch on that low back. Forehead comes to the mat. Really breathe in. As you breathe in, try to send all that air down to your abdomen. Feel the expansion, and then let it all go. Another deep breath here, and let it all go. And then come on up. And we're going to move to do a little bit of upper body work. So from here, we're going to go back to being in all fours. So finding that beautiful posture that we always talk about here. Knees under the hips, wrists under the shoulders, making sure you've got lots of space that we can reach out in front and back of us. So nice neutral spine, tail and head are long and far away from each other. We're going to push in, keeping this nice stable posture. Let that right leg float out behind us and stretch out long. We're going to keep the foot flexed. Then we're going to, if you can, let the left hand drift up toward the top of your mat. And then we're going to lift that pair up. And so you want them to look even, right? So your arm's not here, your leg's not here, or vice versa. You want to feel a nice long engagement. Now, rather than do opens and closes or taps and lowers, we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to reach that pair long like they're being ripped out of their sockets. And then we're going to sink them back in the socket. All the while, reach and sink. Your core is stable. Your arm and leg that are planted are keeping you there. We're reaching and sinking. It's a small movement, but it's powerful. Again, creating length and strength in the body. 2 more. And reach and sink. Bring that pair down, tuck them back under, sit back for a moment, and roll the wrists. Take any pressure off. And then we'll set ourselves up for the other side. So finding ourselves back in our tabletop position. Lots of energy and power here to keep us engaged. Core's engaged. Opposite leg comes out behind with a flexed foot. Hand comes out in front. We bring them up to level with our body. So the biceps by the ear, the leg is straight out from the rear. And we're going to reach in opposite directions and sink those back in the socket. Reach and sink. We're looking for 8. Reach and sink. Reach and sink. We're halfway there. Reach and sink. Reach and sink. 2 more. Reach and sink. Last one. Reach and sink. Bring them back under and take that relief. So the next move is a little bit challenging, so I'm going to give options. I'll show you what the full thing is, and then I'll show you the modification for it. So this is called leg pull down. In leg pull down, we come into a full plank position. We find ourselves not with our hips in the air, not sagging down below, but nice and long. Lots of energy and power. We're going to shift the weight to the right foot, take that left foot long, bring it up and down, up and down. So that's where we're going if you're doing the full version of it. If that is too much for your wrists, your shoulders, wherever it is in your body that it might just not be right for you, you're going to come into all fours and you're going to stay here. You're going to take that leg out and you're going to lift and lower, reach and lower. So you have options. Let's go together. We're going to do 4 lift and lowers on each side. So whichever version is right for you this morning, get in your starting position, shifting the weight to whatever your planted leg is going to be. Other one, toe points long, we lift and lower. Control of the core is going to keep you completely stable except for that leg that's moving. Last one on that side, shift the weight to the other side and lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. Last one and lower and down. Again, taking the relief on those wrists. All right, let's find ourselves to standing. Change it up a little bit here. If you have a chair or something stable nearby, now would be the time to grab that. I'm gonna grab a quick drink of water. All right, so we don't need it just yet, but you might want to use it depending on your stability and your comfort level with squats. So what we want to do to start with is find that nice posture. And what we're not going to do is let those knees go out over our toes, right? That's not what we're trying to get at. What we want to be able to do is sit back in our hips. The knees track between the second and big toe. And this is our squat stance, right? Nice long line of the back. We're not arching over, doing anything weird. We're right here. So what we're gonna do, just so you know the whole set before we get into it, and then that's where if you need the chair for stability, go ahead and use that. But we are gonna need it for the next set. So we're gonna come into our squat. We're gonna do 8 full squats. Then we're gonna come down. We're gonna shift our weight to our heels, and we're gonna pulse our butt down for 8. Then we're gonna shift our weight to our pads of our feet up toward the toes, pulse our butt up to the sky for 8, and then we're gonna evenly distribute our weight and hold it for 8. So that's where we're going. Here we go. So finding that posture, nice strength in those limbs. We're gonna come down for 1, nice and slow and controlled. And 2, only go as far as you know. You can get yourself back up, not cause any damage to the knee joint. 3, 4, 5, 6. I know you already know this, but the core's engaged for stability. 7. All right, when we come down for 8, what do? We shift our weight to our heels and we pulse, 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 pulse. Halfway there. 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. Shift your weight up toward the balls of your feet. And now we're pulsing the butt up toward the sky. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Evenly distribute that weight and hold it here for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't just jump out of it. Push your heels in to come up to standing. Whew. I recommend taking a quad stretch after that. So if you've got your chair handy or your stable object, bring that foot behind you and just come into a nice stretch, keeping the knees as close together as possible. Whew. And make sure you get the other side as well. Just stretch it out. And then we're going to move into standing leg work. So a lot of times in Pilates, this is stuff that we'll do lying on our sides. We're going to do it a little bit different today. So I've got my chair here just to give me a little bit of stability. Before we move, all about control, right? We're going to take that planted foot, so whatever side it is for you, take that planted foot, maybe even slightly turned out, and feel like you're putting a nice pair of tights on. So all those muscles just come on up and get engaged. We're not locking out the knee, but we've got all kinds of power to keep us on this side. This front leg, or this, not the front leg, because we have front and back legs, right? Our side leg, the leg that's gonna do the work. We got our planted leg and our moving leg. It's just gonna come out like it's like we're trying to kick a little ball away from us. So it slides out, it lifts a couple inches, it lowers, slides back in. You notice this whole time, my hips are nice and level and even. Slide out, lift, down, slide back, slide out, lift, down, and back. Halfway there with this one, and back, slide out, lift, and back, 2 more, and back, last one, and back. So now, keeping that nice power and engagement in that standing leg, we're gonna keep this foot flexed. There's always a tendency when we get into this to want to point the toe when we do this one, but I'm gonna try something different with you today. So keeping our nice standing leg tall and powerful, we're gonna stand as tall as we can, and we're just gonna swoosh this leg out, and you should feel it right here. It's not gonna go high. This hip does not cock like that. It goes out and it comes in. Out and in. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, shake that out for a second if you need to. My standing leg's starting to say a little bit angry with me, but that's okay because it's building muscle. Finding that stability there. So now we're going to take this foot behind us and then out a couple inches. So it's at an angle, and we are going to point the toe, and we're even going to lean forward just a little bit, just like we're like leaning into the wind a little bit. Nice, flat, tall back. So from here, I can't get the right angle for you. It's coming right from where the glutes meet the hamstrings, right at that crease. So we're just going to lift a couple inches and lower. All the while that core is engaged, keeping us nice and tall. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. This is a very small movement because there's not a lot of range for you to get much movement here, right? Without dipping into your hips. If we're nice and tall, it's just a tiny little movement. It's about that reach, right? And 3, and 2, and 1. All right. Let's do one more thing before we take our stretch. So we're going to do a little arc. So we're going to bring that, have that power, not locking out the knee. We're going to have that toe out in front, and we're just going to swing it around to tap it in the back, swing it around to the front. Hips are quiet and stable, core's engaged, all about control. Just a tiny little arc. Halfway. 3, and 2, and 1. All right, if you're anything like me, that standing leg is the one that needs the stretch. So go ahead and take a number 4 stretch on the standing leg. Oh my goodness, it hurts so much. I did Pilates and bar yesterday, or no, excuse me, bar and yoga yesterday, so this is quite painful. All right, take the stretch, breathe into it. If you need it for both sides, go ahead and uncross that because we're going to do the work on the other side, so might as well get a stretch too, and we'll do it again after that. You know me, I'm all about the stretches. Anyone that's taken my class knows that we just spend time taking care of stretching everything out after we work it. If you need to move your chair over to the other side, wherever you want to be set up for success. This time we're going to take that opposite leg, put our nice strong compression tights on, not bending out, locking out that knee. Foot is flexed to start with. We kick that ball away, and then we lift. Bring it back. Kick it away, and bring it back. Reach, and back. Reach, and back. You should feel some activation right here in the front of the thigh. All this sideline work does for us, not all that it does, but what it does for us is it helps us keep strong posture. So it gives us power in those legs and that lateral system that keep us moving through life in an upright position. Last one here, and then we're going to take it out to the side. So remember, we're going to keep that foot flexed, and we're going to make sure we're nice and tall. We just bring it out a couple inches and in, out and in. If your hand is on your hips, you no doubt will be feeling the activation of some muscles right up here as you take it out and in. Halfway there. I saw my shoulders go like this. Whoo, melt them back down. And 2, and 1. All right, we're setting ourselves up for that back one. Remember to keep that power in that leg. We're going to take it back and then out a couple inches to the side. Feel a little bit of a lean forward, like we're just kind of leaning into the wind, engaged in the core. And we lift a couple inches and lower. Lift and lower. Reach and lower. Reach and lower. Halfway. And 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. Oh, there's a cardinal. That's good luck, my grandma always told me. All right, we got to do our arcs. Sorry, I got distracted. Sometimes it's good to get distracted when you're doing this stuff. All right, find that stability in the standing leg. Bring that toe around to the front. Everything is staying even, level, and controlled. We arc the leg around. We bring it back. Hug it in and back. Shoulders are down, and we're breathing. Halfway there. And 3. And 2. Last one. And then take your number 4 stretch on whichever leg thinks you need it first. Oh my goodness, mine's the standing leg. I can't even get at it. Shake it out if you need to get there. Cross that leg over and just deep into it as much as you need. Be gentle with yourself. Never push into pain. All right. So we're going to move on to our whole body challenge. Take your chair, put it out of the way. And this one's called the open leg rocker. But before we go there, I don't know about you, but I need a little bit more stretch on those hips. So we're going to stretch a little bit more before we get there. So crossing one leg in and the other one just in front of it, not on top of each other, but one out in front of it if this is accessible to you. And so then we're going to just stretch out and fold over our legs and just walk the hands out in front of us. And this should help open and stretch some of those muscles that we just worked on the side of the hips in a more gentle way. A couple deep breaths here. Pushing that back up. And then we're going to uncross those legs, put the one that was in front now tucked inside, other one's on the outside. Same thing. We're going to walk out the hands and just get a nice stretch on the hips. After a deep breath or two there, we'll walk it back up to seated. So for those of you that have not seen open leg rocker, this will be new and fun. For those of you that know where we're going, get ready. So this, there's a variation of this where you can roll back. I'm not going to roll back right now because I will knock my head on something, so keep yourself safe. The first thing you're going to do is go ahead and just take your legs out in front of you in like a butterfly position. Sitting up nice and tall, those sit bones are planted in the mat. Start to bring those feet closer in to that pubic bone area, right down here, the lowest bony point. And you're going to just kind of hug your ankles in to start with. So from here, just start to test your balance. So maybe rock back a little bit onto those bony points, keeping the spine straight, and just find the balance point where you can kind of just hold it right here. Okay, so you've got your balance. And now, what I like to do to start with is I just grab onto my pants because I get sweaty and my hands slip and everything like that. So you can either hold onto those ankles or you can grab onto your pants so you can get a nice, good hold. Find that balance point. Open one leg up to the side, nice and long. Open the other leg up to the other side, nice and long, keeping that spine nice and long and straight. This is your open leg rocker. Again, I'll turn this way so you guys can see what it looks like because it's kind of fun to roll sometimes, but you have to be super safe. You never roll up onto your neck. So make sure you're practicing safety at home. So if you did it from this way, you can see my nice tall spine. We find that balance point as I tip back. I got to grab my pants. Now I'll do it my ankles. Here we go. Open one nice and long. Open the other nice and long. And then you scoop the abs and then you can roll back. And then come on back up, but you're not supposed to use momentum. You got to use that nice, beautiful, strong core, and then bring it back in. So that's just one that's fun to play with. I just like to find that balance point. If there's some power in like challenging yourself and, you know, playing with opening one leg, opening the other, closing them, just play with it and enjoy it. It's fun, I promise. All right. I moved a little bit quicker than I expected today, so I'm actually going to just roll us right into our stretching, and then we'll have a little bit more time to just relax because I feel like we worked hard. Hopefully you guys feel that way too. Let's start out by stretching our legs a little bit more. So if you can, go this way so you can fully see me. Bring your legs out long in front of you. And this is about gentle stretching. So don't beat yourself up. Don't work too hard. If you feel like you're fighting yourself, deep breathing to relax. So this is just to stretch the legs out. And then if you can, kind of help them come together. We'll come into that butterfly and just push as gentle as you need to. And then on the next breath, we'll bring them out wide into a nice V-sit. If you want more in this, you can always reach forward. We're just going to cycle through a couple of these where we take the legs out long, we put them into butterfly, and then we open them up wide. And so in each version of that, put it back through. And then back to long. You just feel in your body as you breathe through it, if you want to take that extra stretch, or if just having it there like this is enough. This is your moment to just see where there's any tension, see where there's any stress, any tightness, and just work through it. Folding the legs up through butterfly, pushing in as far or as little as you need, and then open the legs up wide. It might feel good to walk both hands to one side and feel a stretch as you try to bring that nose down to the knee. Nose down to the knee. Walking it back up, maybe taking it to the other side. Stretching it out long. Just exploring. Last one, we'll bring it into the butterfly. Feet are together. And then bring it back through. We'll come back up now to a seated, cross-seated position, wherever your legs are comfortable. And we're just going to do a twist. So we're going to take our hands out to the side, little tented fingers. We're going to breathe in as the palms come up to the sky. And then as our palms flip back down, we're going to twist. Exhale, twist the torso. One hand comes to the knee, the other hand comes behind you. And as you breathe in, you feel like your spine's like a corkscrew getting longer and taller. And exhale, it comes kind of back to natural position. Inhale and exhale. You don't get a ton of length in this, but any little bit just helps with that mobility of the spine, which is so important to keep us healthy. So hands sweep up through center on an inhale. On an exhale, we twist the torso to the opposite direction. Hand comes to the knee, other hand's behind us to give us a little bit deeper twist. My cat loves to come in while I'm doing workouts. I think it's playtime. All right. Sweep the hands back up overhead. Exhale, palms come back down to the mat. We've got those little tent fingers to the side. And we're just going to do a little neck stretch here. So we're going to take the chin to the chest and then chin up to the ceiling. So when the chin's to the chest, we feel a nice stretch all along the back of our neck down into our upper shoulders. And when the chin comes up to the chest, we feel that opening all the way from the chest up through the neck, through the chin. One more this direction, down, and then up. Bringing the head back to neutral. Now we're going to take ear to shoulder. All right, so take your right ear to your right shoulder and feel that nice opening along that side. Back through center, left ear to left shoulder. Back through center, one more of those on each side. Center. And then just kind of let your head roll through the chest. If it feels good, let it roll back. Big neck rolls. Maybe 2 in one direction and then switch it and 2 in the other direction. Coming back into neutral when you're done. Shrug the shoulders and roll them back a couple times. Roll them forward a couple times. And then find a comfortable seated position. And we'll just take a couple breaths here together and just reflect on the control that we had in our bodies, how that is the control we can have through our days. Knowing that we can't control everything out there, but every little bit that we can makes us feel a little bit more confident, a little bit stronger, more equipped to deal with what comes at us. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I really appreciate being able to spend this time with you, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.